what most people would say is, listen, I want to have the highest possible price in the shortest period of time with the least amount of stress. And that's really what we're talking about is I want to get the highest possible, what market will bear, the highest possible price in the shortest period of time, because mule it sits on the market every day, I have to make sure that house is sparkling. I have to make sure that I'm available or that there's a lockbox or something. So when someone calls, or an agent calls you and they say, listen, I have people who just came in from out of town. They're really interested in your property. Now, can we come by in the next hour or today, later, or whatever it may be? All of this time that you do that, it's very stressful. Betty and I have bought and sold many more than 5 homes. And I assure you, we understand. And I have the resources to help when it comes to reducing that stress. And I'll explain it to you if you're ever interested in if we ever try to get together and sit and chat or just say hello. So a little bit of insight about what goes on in selling a home. Let's go a little bit deeper. And the next one I did was a home that listed at 570, almost 570, and sold for 535. You'll see in a little while the difference really of what we had, or when I say we, that's meaning people had put on the market. When I work with you, I will typically say we need to do this or we're doing that or whatever. This is a partnership, and I'll take most of the load for you. But I'll also keep you informed of what's going on and not have you sit and wait and wonder, okay, now what's next? What's happening? So we looked at this property and we see that there was no subsidy on it. So I don't know if if it's a good thing or necessarily not a good thing. There was one, I think, above it. Let me see if I can go back up. There was one, I think the subsidy was $15,000 in one of them. Yeah, if you go down from the first one on top, you go down 3, you'll see it was $15,000. It doesn't mean, obviously it sounds really high, it doesn't mean that there was poor negotiation. It may have been a way of dealing with the situation and having that happen. So don't necessarily say it's a bad thing. It can be, but we look at it at specifics. So the next one was listed out at $449 and sold for $435. So all of these numbers that you're hearing is not very pleasant because that's a substantial dollar amount when we're looking at some of these numbers. Well, this may even be worse. This one was 187 days on the market again. We try not to do something like that. And typically why the property sits, it's a few things. One is, what's it look like on the inside? What's it look like on the outside? When someone is talking with me about homes and what's going on in the community, they'll ask me, well, why did that home sell for $525,000 and my home is only listed at $450? Well, it may have been, and I'm not saying that I'm listing it that way, that may have been the situation that's happened here. Maybe they had a basement. Maybe they have, maybe they're on the golf course and you're not. It may be the exact same model, but it has different amenities, and inside also may have been updated from the older kitchen to a new one. Same thing with the bath. Doesn't mean you have to do that all the time. Doesn't mean you have to spend a lot of money. And obviously those are part of the really conversations of how it's going to affect the sale of the house, of the property. So you can't just say that house is the same model as my house, and I don't understand why that one sold for that. Also, when you're looking out on the internet and you're looking at, and I'm not picking on this, most people know Zillow, TRULIA, which is owned by Zillow, by the way, homes.com, realtor.com, remax.com. Those are good sources. It's a great way of doing some shopping of homes, but you need to be careful. And I'll describe really one that stands out dramatically. The CEO of Zillow put his home on the market to sell it. And what Zillow uses is something, when you look at their system, something called a Zestimate. That's, I guess, their acronym for what the valuation estimate is. And in this case of the CEO's house, he sold it for 40% less than the Zestimate estimate. Must have been pretty embarrassing because it hit a lot of the trades that I read, books and magazines that I read. So when you're looking at Zillow or some of the other systems out there, whether it's a Zestimate or whatever they may call it, just assume that it's off by about 20%, either high or low. It's both ways. I've never seen them hit the spot even close. So just assume that when you're looking. The reason I bring that up, it's a big problem, huge. When you are listing your home and you look at Zillow and it says it's worth $550, and you say, well, we're going to put it on the market for $550, and maybe the agent knows it's not really going to happen. What ends up happening is the buyer probably or may often not even look at the house because it's high, it's out of the market, and they're looking for a $500,000 home, not a $550,000 home. So they won't even make it a selection. Even if it's a 525, they may not look at the 500. May be there at the top of the budget. In your mind, you were willing to negotiate and come down. I get that question all the time. Well, Jeff, let's do it up high, and we can always come down. Well, you can't always come down because oftentimes when it's too high, people won't even look at it because it's out of their range. It won't even be on their list to look at. So you need to be careful about that. Well, that Zestimate that's out there, if it's 20% over, that 20% can put you in a situation where people aren't even going to be looking at your home. Now look at it the other way. People are out there looking to buy a home. They go to Zillow, and the Zillow is the other way. It's 20% below what really the market would bear. They don't know when they're doing their calculations. They don't know all the ins and outs of that house or the area. The system is not looking inside your home to see what you've done and what you've upgraded. It doesn't necessarily know you're on the golf course or that you're, whatever, make something dramatically different, that you finish your basement. It doesn't always know those things. So it never has been, that I know anyway in my years, that it's ever been correct. But somebody's trying to buy your house, okay? And and they're coming in and says, Zillow says it's worth $475, and we believe it really is at least to start at 500,000. Well, they're going to argue. They're going to say, no, the estimate's 475. Well, then I got to go through, which it happens a lot, explain what the difference is between a true valuation of a property versus doing it electronically. And so just think about it. I'm not telling you not to look. You're going to want to do that. You're going to try to get either happy or you'll be sad, but it's wrong. It's going to be wrong to some degree. So put that 20% in your mind and kind of go from that. Don't take it as gospel. Okay. I spent a bit of time on it, but it is an issue and it comes up almost every time.